I'm Lelia Lewis, and welcome to another edition of Building a Better You. Now, today we're going to be reading from two different books. We're going to be reading from the book of James as well as the book of Psalms. And we're under the heading of, in James, patience in temptation. Now, I know previously we spoke about the difference between patience and trials, but today we're going to talk about trials. We talked about trials and tribulations, and we did speak of temptation. But this is going to be about how to be patient in the time of temptation. So we're going to start there in the book of James. And I'm going to read from verse 12 through 17, and then we're going to come back and kind of talk about that. And then that'll put us into Psalms 119. So let's start with verse 12, book of James, chapter 1. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. And let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then, when lust has conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Now that may sound a bit busy or a little complicated, so let's go back and just review this thing about the temptation part. And it says, blessed is, they emphasize is the man that endureth temptation. And we know temptation is to be encouraged to do something wrong. Well, anything out of the will of God is temptation. Anything out of the will of God is wrong. And then we're supposed to learn how to endure the temptation. And to endure it means to stay away from it. Yield from it. Don't let it take you over. You take it over. Because if you can endure and circumvent or turn away from temptation, that is the man who is blessed. For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to them that love him. So the whole thing is to be able and learn, and which we're going to do today, how to circumvent temptation and to trust the Lord, because he's the only one that can give us promises, and promises he can keep. And let no man say when he is tempted, oh, I'm tempted of God. No, you're not. What does it say? Because God cannot be tempted with evil, nor does he tempt any man. So you can't blame it on God. You're tempting yourself. You're letting yourself be tempted. You're not being strong enough to turn away. Of course, it tells you right in verse 14. What does it say? Every man that is tempted, he is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. And thus we always associate that with people, another person or something like that. But lust is to have any type of intense desire or craving for. And that could be a person, it could be things, it could be money, It could be recognition. It's just that some people say, if I only had this amount of money, if I only could do this, if I only could do that, if I could be that popular. Everything's about stuff. It's not about stuff. So you got to be aware of what's going on around you. And to be enticed, you're being enticed because somebody else can entice you. Yes, somebody else can entice you. But the Lord can't entice you. Enticement can come from, let's say somebody, an instance. Suppose a group of guys, they say, oh, you know what? We can make some fast money. All we have to do, now that store down there, that only has one guy in there, and he's in there from 10 to 2 or 10 to 12 or whatever, and all we got to do is go in, steal the money, and get out. We don't have to hurt him. We're not going to hurt nobody. And you're sitting there, and it's like, yeah, well, that sounds kind of easy. And they just keep talking and keep talking. And what happens? You go along with the program. Now you've been enticed. But what happens when you go in there and something goes wrong? Suppose the guy behind the counter has a gun. Suppose somebody gets shot. Then what? And I'll tell you then what. Because in verse 15 it says, when lust has conceived, and conceived means to imagine. It comes into your mind. You can see the picture of it. And the more they talk, the easier it sounds. Now, the idea has been conceived and formed in your mind. And what does it say? Once that has been conceived, it brings forth sin. And what's the sin? You go in and you do the robbery. Now you're in it. You're gone. But it also says, and sin, when it is finished, brings forth death. Now, it doesn't mean literal death, like death of your life right then, but it's an inward death. Because suppose the guy has a gun, somebody gets shot, now you're running out of there for your life. What did you gain? Absolutely nothing. That's why you got to learn to not be enticed, not be encouraged about what people say. You've got to learn to think for yourself. And that's why it says in verse 16, what it says, do not err, don't make a mistake. Because nothing evil comes from God. Verse 17 tells you, every good gift and every perfect gift is from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variableness. And variableness means no change. He's not changing. He doesn't say, well, okay, if you only do this much, I won't penalize you as much as if you do the whole thing. If you just sit and listen, that's okay, as long as I don't participate. No, you don't need to be listening. So there's no variable with God. He's not going to change. His judgment will be on you, period. What you do, how you participate, how much you participate, that's irrelevant. Sin is sin. There's no little. There's no more than. It's just one word, sin. And then, so God doesn't change. He's not variable. And it says neither shadow of turning. And that simply means like, imagine a shadow on a wall. And sometimes you do see a shadow and you say, oh, that looks like a cat or whatever. Shadows take different forms. Well, this is simply saying God doesn't change. That's all that means. He does not change in any way, shape, or form. God is consistent all the time. Now we've gotten through the temptation part. Now we're going to go over to Psalm 119, and I'm going to read only 2 verses first. It's verse 124 and 125, because it's kind of a continuation of that. Because now you're asking God, in 124, you're saying, deal with thy servant. And that's us. We are the servants of God. Deal with us according and unto thy mercy, and teach us thy statutes. I am thy servant. Give me understanding, that I may know thy testimonies. So that's what that means. According to thy mercy. And what is his mercy? His mercy is the compassion that he shows for us. So you're asking him, you know you're wrong. That's why we're asking him to help us. But deal with us mercifully. Teach me thy statutes. And what are statutes? Statutes are laws. Statutes are laws. And 125 says, give me understanding, that I may know thy testimonies. And understanding means to be thoroughly familiar with. And what are testimonies? Testimonies are the scriptures. The scriptures. Like Moses, he came down with the tablet, with the 10 Commandments. And I always emphasize the first 4 are major. If you can learn the first 4, you're already ahead of the game. Thou shalt have no other God before me. Thou shalt not make any graven image. Thou shalt not bow down thyself and serve them. Thou shalt have no other God before me. Well, first of all, thou shalt not have no other. There is no other God. There is no other God. People can say they worship this and they worship that. We worship no one but the real, true God. Because all these other people, they were God's creations in the first place. And make no graven image. Well, not literally statues. Maybe you're not making statues and worshiping statues. But how about people? How about entertainers? How about singers, musicians? How many times do they? Look how many people pay hundreds of dollars for tickets to go see somebody sing for 2 hours. Would you spend that much money to come to hear about God? Would you spend that much money? Do you know how many billions of dollars they made last weekend on the Super Bowl? Do you know people paid for a family of 4 to fly out to, what's that place? Nevada. Oh, where was it? I forgot where it was. But to fly out there to the Super Bowl for a family of 4 for 2 days, $45,000. Wow. That is a fact. $45,000. Wow. And it was amazing because people, and I know half the people that bought the tickets, even if they tried to drive, they had guys, about 6 or 7 guys, they rented a trailer and then they hooked up their other stuff to it. They drove 2 days to get out there. They drove 2 days to go to the Super Bowl. Now, how much money did they spend? So the point I'm making is about that no graven images. You don't have to have statues. You're worshiping people. You're giving glory to people that you should be giving glory to the God. Because he created everything and everyone that you're glorifying. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. Okay, where were we? 120... Deal with thy servant, and teach me thy statutes. And the statutes, like I said, were the 10 Commandments and all his laws and all of his word. I am thy servant. Give me understanding, that I may know thy testimonies. Understanding, give me a thorough understanding, so that I may know thy testimonies. And the testimonies are what we spoke of. Any decrees or scriptures of the Bible. Now that's about the temptation part and how we're asking God to help us get through. Now let's go in 119. We're still in 119. Let's go to Psalm 97, verse 97, I meant to say, and Psalm 119. And this is going to tell us the solution that we all could use no matter what your scenario. Oh, how I love thy law. It is my meditation all the day. Through thy commandments thou hast made me wiser than my enemies, for they are ever with me. I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditation. I understand more than the ancients, because I keep thy precepts. I have refrained my feet from every evil way, that I might keep thy word. I have not departed from thy judgments, for thou hast taught me. How sweet are the words of thy words unto my taste, sweeter than honey to my mouth. Through thy precepts I get understanding, and therefore I hate every false way. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet, and a light unto my path. Now let's go and review that just for a little bit. And it says right off the bat, oh, how I love thy laws. I meditate on them all the day. That means he reads the Bible. You read the Bible, you meditate on it. To meditate means to focus. It means to concentrate. We've got to read these words and know what they mean, understand what they mean, get a clear and familiar understanding. Through thy commandments, your commandments have made me wiser than my enemies. So that means if I'm studying your commandments, I'm 10 steps ahead of my enemies. So you're already in the right position. If we could just learn the first 4, follow those, everything else falls into place. We're always familiar with hearing, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill. These things we know. We shouldn't even have to be told that. But of course, sometimes we do. Sometimes we do. I have more understanding than my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditations. So that's all he does. Testimonies and precepts, they're principles. They're principles. I have more understanding than the ancients, because I keep thy precepts. And precepts are your principles, your character. What type of character do you have? Precepts fall under the fruits of the Spirit. Peace, love, joy, truth, understanding, meekness, kindness, generosity, all these things, because these are all traits, characteristics of Jesus. Everything that they say, that's why they call them fruits of the Spirit, because it's good for you. How would somebody describe you? What would they say about you? Would they say, well, you're a nice person, you're a kind person, you're a generous person? What would they say about you? You know, I mean, do you think about other people? Do you consider other people? So these are the things that you've got to learn to read about. And it says, that makes you wiser. Wiser than all your friends, all your enemies, because you're learning God's way. You're learning how to live in his way. You're learning how to treat other people. And it gives you peace within yourself. You'd be surprised how much better you feel when somebody says thank you for doing something for them. That makes you feel good. And it doesn't cost you anything. It never hurts to help somebody, because you never know when that same somebody might be helping you. So, I have refrained my feet from every evil way. Refrain means to stop. I have curbed myself, so to speak. I won't fall into that category. I won't follow impulses. I'm going to think first. I have not departed from thy judgment, for thou hast taught me. And thy judgment means the decisions of God. Now, if you're going to pray for something, and you're going to put in a request, and you're going to ask God for whatever it is you need, the help you need, the strength you need, well, after you pray for it, you've got to believe it. And whatever you're asking for, you can't just ask for it, walk away, and then 2 days later you didn't get it and be annoyed. But this says, I will not depart from your judgment. And that means no matter what the answer is, you are willing to accept it. That is really important. Don't look for a certain answer. Just know that whatever answer God gives is the best answer. It's the right answer. So you've got to trust in the Lord. Let his word be what it is and learn to accept it. Know that he's doing what's best for you at that time. So that's why it says, I won't depart from your judgment. Don't get angry because it's not the answer you wanted to hear. That's what that means. That's all that means. Don't get angry because you're not getting the answer that you want. You just got to trust his judgment and know that his judgment is the best thing for you. How sweet are thy words unto my taste. Through thy precepts I get understanding, and therefore I hate every false way. Through thy precepts I get understanding, through your principles. And that's why I hate every false way. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. And it's just like God walking in front of you, holding up a lantern and just saying, follow me. Follow me. He's giving you the path. He's lighting the way for you. You've got to go where the truth lies. You've got to learn to ask God for spiritual eyes and spiritual ears so that you can see beyond the surface. Spiritual ears so that you can hear beyond the words of what somebody's telling you. You can't just listen to these fast talkers and say, oh, that's a good idea. You've got to learn to listen. Go beyond the surface. You can't make snap decisions. People go out and buy cars and everything else, and then after they get home, the guys have told them how great it rides. You got it home, you signed on the dotted line, and then next month when the bill comes in, you're like, wow, I'm sorry I did that. So don't make snap decisions listening to other people, because eventually, usually, you end up regretting it anyway. So you've got to dig deeper into what's going on around you, what's being said to you, and how people react. And that brings me to the poem I want to share with you today, and it is called Where the Truth Lives. I can't begin to thank you, Lord, for all the things you do, for forgiving me of all my sins and drawing me closer to you. You've given me so many chances, and still you didn't stop there. This only proves your love for me and how much you really care. But now it's time to show my thanks for the blessings that I've received, to trust you and obey your word and no longer be deceived. Let your words only be my guide, no matter how things may look, because all the truth I'll ever need will be found in your holy book. And that's true. That's all the truth we'll ever need. It's right here in our book. And if we read it every day, meditate on it every day, there'll be so much you can learn in a short period of time. What does he say? My word is a lamp unto your feet and a light unto your path. Who could ask for better direction? What could be clearer than a light showing you which way to go? What could be more perfect than somebody being with you 24/7, looking out for you, even when you don't know it? Sometimes you get in a position and you say, well, I don't know if I should or if I shouldn't. And I always think about Jesus. That one incident when they wanted to stone the woman for adultery. And they asked him, Rabbi, what do you think we should do? And he didn't answer right away. He bent down and he made circles in the sand, and he thought for a minute, and he stood up, and what did he say? He said, he who was without sin, will you cast the first stone? So what happened? Nothing. Because everyone there had already had sin in their life. Who doesn't? How can you cast a stone at someone else when you yourself have sin? And that's the whole point of this lesson. We all have sin. We all have temptations. We all have things that sound so good. And what did I say? If it sounds too good, it can't be that good. And 9 times out of 10, it isn't. And that's the fast talkers that people listen to. Ladies on their TV the other day, they were on the news because this high-end furniture store, they were selling furniture, one of a kind, custom made and all that. And one lady paid $6,000 for a chest, and another lady paid $32,000 to get her whole living room done over from this high-end furniture store. And now he's on the news, the store, because they're in for fraud. Because these people paid money. One lady paid $6,000 for a chest. But the point was, they all wanted to give him a credit card, but he said, we don't take credit cards. We only take cash or check. And they wrote checks. Well, first of all, that would have been a red flag for me. But to make a long story short, they gave him the cash. One lady never got her chest, the $6,000 lady. The other lady, she got half of her furniture, and she's out of $18,000 still. So my point is, and my words for today are, your purpose in life is to let God love you, and you love him back. So try to get a clear understanding. Read your Bible. Get spiritual eyes and ears. And until next week, I'm Lelia Lewis. Thanks for joining me.
All right, we've been listening to Miss Lelia Lewis right here at Building a Better You. We are To God Be the Glory radio broadcast. Boy, did I enjoy that word on today. Did I enjoy that word on today? May the Lord continue to strengthen and bless you as you go along your day. Don't forget, we're building a better you.
And I'm going to say hi out there. I'm shouting out to Denise Marshall.
Juanita Tyler.
And Juanita Tyler. Good. I'm glad you're listening. I hope you enjoyed the message today. And you'll join me again next week. See you then.